Welcome back to Expert Advice. We have with us Sapna Srivasatava, who's talking on urban design. Let's take this conversation further. You talked about slum infrastructure being improved, that should be improved by the government. Now tell me, how could one achieve, that kind of slum infrastructure that you're talking about?
See, there have been various examples, because it's not only India, but there are other cities like in Brazil and Mexico, which also have a challenge of slum development. And they have taken this approach where they have involved the slum dwellers. What they have done is they have called them, they have taken their inputs, the challenges that they face, they have checked the ground realities, they have seen how they have their own in-house businesses going from there, and which are very important part of the entire economy of that particular city. So which means if you are demolishing the slum, we are also demolishing part of the economy of the city, because there are all these small units of plastic recycling, leather manufacturing developments and all. What they have done there is that they have given them better infrastructure, which means electricity, water supply. In terms of their businesses, they have given them low cost but good quality setup for their businesses to continue. Because what happens in a slum development is, because you do not have the basic infrastructure, it creates uncleanliness, unhygienic conditions, and poor quality of living of people. Once you upgrade this infrastructure, give them good infrastructure, make them the stakeholders of maintaining that infrastructure, take their inputs, they themselves will become involved in maintaining that particular area, which means you are enhancing the quality of living of the people who are there without actually demolishing it. So that is one of the ways. We have various examples in front of us, and there is some good work also being done here in India, in Delhi and Mumbai. There are some initiatives which have been taken. Let's see how they go.
Okay. So we spoke about the future plans, the Housing for All dream and the current scenario that, that Mumbai has. Now, in all this, do you feel the urban design in India is lacking somewhere?
Definitely it is lacking. First of all, we do not have the concept of urban designing as such.
Okay.
We only talk about town planning.
Okay.
When we are talking about town planning, which means we are only deciding or determining the land use. We are not actually determining how these land use areas will be designed to enhance the quality of life for people who are going to use it.
Correct.
There is no the overall social inclusion, I would say, in the present cities. When I say social inclusion, which means when we are designing our cities, the parameters still remain the average male model, whether it is footpaths, whether it is our curbs, whether it is the footboards or for the buses. They all are being designed by average male parameters, which means they are unfriendly for women, they are unfriendly for elderly, they are unfriendly for children, they are unfriendly for disabled.
Correct.
Simple putting up ramps in various places, providing escalators, providing lifts, which would make it so much friendly, people like elderly, people like disabled, they would be much better able to enjoy public spaces. A simple example I would take, public toilets. It's been a much talked about subject. A lot of NGOs have taken up this issue. Forget about the inadequate number of public toilets for anyone for that matter. When we are talking about whatever public toilets that we have, we are still assigning the same square footage as male toilet to woman toilet.
Yeah.
Which is completely because it is seen that women spend more time in toilets, because there you have stalls. You cannot have urinals which take lesser space in a male toilet.
Exactly.
So
yes.
This is again something which is a neglected part. You do not have feeding areas and nappy changing areas in public spaces.
Yes.
For women who are traveling or who want to be in public spaces with their children.
Exactly.
Simple aspects like car parks, which most of the time are desolated areas, especially after business hours. approachable play areas, well approachable car parks will make them much more friendly for women.
Correct.
Because they will feel much safer. Our lighting systems, when we say our street lighting, our open area lightings, our gardens, they have to be well lit so that they become safer for everyone, not only women and children, but also for everyone else. Another example I'll give you how we are planning our city. In terms, we are planning our residentials in the suburbs, while we are planning our business hubs in the city centers. We are planning our entertainment zones in a separate area, which again, as I said in one of the earlier answers, is once the business hours are done, that particular area becomes a security threat for anyone who's alone after the business hours.
Yeah.
Also, if you have residential areas and business areas and entertainment zones all mixed up together, it means women and probably elderly and disabled, they can, they can balance their work and home life better.
Correct, yeah.
So these are some of the aspects which are lacking in our urban design. Simple things like our subways, the way we are placing our handrails and guide rails, skywalks. In fact, we consider hawkers as a menace, but they can be the eyes and ears for the police, for the city. Only comes down to how you plan, how you place them. Because some of the streets that get desolated after probably late evenings, if you have hawkers or you have eateries or you have all-night cafes around those streets, you are actually reducing the security threat for people who are going to use those streets.
And I think, Sapna, that's a very important issue that you have raised. And I think such issues should be addressed by the authorities, by the government, and even we as a citizen of the city, we should have that moral responsibility, that anytime, anywhere we find such mishappenings, we should, raise our voices.
Because, Pooja, as I said, it all comes down to involving the citizens.
Exactly.
I'll give you an example. In Delhi, there is an initiative being taken up by an organization, an NGO. Which is spearheaded by an architect. What they found was that Delhi has a wonderful system of metros, and everyone praises that. But what about from your home till the metro station? How do you reach there?
Exactly. Yes.
A lot of people are not using metros because the way which is leading to the metro stations, the footpaths that are leading to those metro stations are unusable. Women and children going to school, they cannot use it. Women, they cannot use it because they are occupied by squatters. They are dirty, they are filthy, they cannot use it. So they don't want to travel that distance because they don't want to go, although it's just a walking distance, they do not want to walk that distance. They are taking their vehicles out. Just freeing these areas, it is that initiative is called Aapki Sadak, which is a reclaim your streets. Wow. So just clear your footpaths, children, so that children feel safe traveling to their school. They can walk down the footpath without any fear or without any dirt or unsocial element there. Just reclaim your streets. So Delhi government did a wonderful job of creating metro connectivity, but they forgot about the connectivity from the home to the metro.
Yes, of course. This Aapki Sadak is a very good initiative, I must say. We are going to take a very small break. Be with us. Is there any example of urban design in India?
Well, there are some good examples of good city planning. The entire city divided into sectors, and each sector is very well connected with other sectors.
Welcome back to Expert Advice. We have with us Sapna Srivasatava, who's talking on urban design. Let's take this conversation further. Is there any example of urban design in India?
Well, there are some good examples of good city planning. Chandigarh is a well-planned city where you have the entire city divided into sectors, and each sector is very well connected with other sectors, and each sector is independent, self-dependent in its needs, which means it has its own business and educational and shopping areas. Jaipur is another good city where they have been able to create balance between the modern forms and their traditional traditional bazaars and mohallas, and they have been able to achieve that with good regulatory mechanism and traffic movement. Pondicherry, which has been very been successful in maintaining its historic character, its French architecture can be seen, lining the streets and the open areas. They have been able to do it well, but a lot more can be done. And Mumbai also, there are a lot of initiatives being taken by a lot of organizations, and things are happening. But as we know, in India, all these systems, they take time because there are a lot of procedures and approvals. So a well-planned city, a well-designed city would attract tourists, would attract investors, would attract FDIs, would attract people to buy residential properties, which also means creating more job opportunities, which means economic growth for the city, which means if you're creating or designing your open spaces, your public spaces, your public institutions better, which also means more socially vibrant city. And if you are planning well and you are designing well, it also means environmentally the city is much better. It's performing much better. It's more environment sensitive. It's more ecologically friendly.
So you spoke about, attracting investors, FDIs into the city. Now, something which we have been hearing for a while is the smart cities. Now, this concept has been for a while, the government has been putting up plans for this, and people are very excited about it. So when I talk about smart cities, does the urban design concept apply in the same?
See, urban design is fundamental to any city. Whenever you're planning a city, you will have a master plan. You will have to design all the public spaces and open spaces. So urban design remains fundamental to development of any city, any urban space. Smart city, it enhances the service delivery, it enhances the functionality of the city. When we are saying smart city, it means we are adopting latest technologies like information and communication systems for better governance. We are incorporating intelligent transportation system for better traffic management and monitoring, smart grids for energy management, digital access to public information. These are the things which help the city to start functioning in a much better, in an enhanced way. And especially looking at the way the urbanization is happening in India, the way urban population is increasing day by day. I'll give you an example of a UN report which says by 2030, the urban population in India will increase to 590 million from 340 million, which it was in 2008. When we are looking at such a large-scale urban population in next few decades, we need to make our cities work and perform smartly. We need them to work smartly, not only for better functioning, but also to make them more environment friendly. So that is why smart cities are on the agenda of the government. Hyderabad, Surat and Delhi already have adopted latest technologies for their service delivery. There are 7 more which are planned along Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. And I think this is the future, this is the way to go.
Okay. Smart cities are something, they are the things of the future. Now, talking about the current scenario, you and I live in a city like Mumbai. Now, again, the space crunch comes into the picture. Now, an effective urban design plan would prove beneficial to a city like Mumbai?
For most of the cities, why Mumbai, if we look around the world or even within India, most of the urban cities, most of the metro cities are starved of space. There is a constant struggle of how to create more space, how to have more open spaces, how to fit in the urban population, which is increasing day by day. When we have this kind of a space crunch, urban design becomes even more important because we are looking at maximum utilization of the given space. For Mumbai particularly, there have been a lot of recommendations from experts and professionals and architects. Architects have been recommending that Mumbai should go vertical so that we have more ground space free to create green areas, public areas. So that is one of the recommendation of the suggestion which has come in. But yes, of course, without not an unplanned vertical expansion we are talking about here, because Mumbai is a city which we know is constructed on landfill. So when we are talking about super tall towers, we also need to see how the foundations will go down. They should not, because many have also pointed out that more vertical we go, which means more deeper we are going for the foundations, which means we are destabilizing the landfill, which can lead to disasters like what we have seen flooding of Mumbai in recent years. So if you are going vertical, yes, it has to be very planned, it has to be very technically correct, but that is one of the ways to go. Another way which has been suggested by expert is that we have huge parcels of land. The mill areas are the huge parcels of land which have not been utilized till now. What is happening right now is that government is selling those piecemeal to developers for malls, for residential, luxury residentials and all. What instead should be done is these huge parcels of land should be developed as sustainable cities in themselves, which should have their own business hubs, entertainment hubs, residential areas. The people who are already living there should be accommodated within them, so that they become living and sustainable, self-dependent areas within themselves. So that people, right now what's happening when you have all these business hubs in Lower Parel, which earlier was are mill areas, and people are traveling from suburbs to come here. Exactly. The people who were living there originally have been displaced from there. We don't want those kind of things. So these land parcels which are available should be put to judicious use. Another very interesting suggestion has been made by one of the professionals is that we have this vast network of local trains, local railways. This entire connectivity from one end of Mumbai to the other, we can cover these railway networks and create these green areas we can take on top of them. So these entire connected corridors can become green corridors where we can have amphitheaters, we can have social areas, we can have cafeterias, we can have gardens and play areas, so that people can use them. They also become pedestrian connectivity from one place to another. So that's another interesting concept, how we can, whatever is available, we can make a very good use of. And it will also create a lot of revenues for railways, because when you are subletting that area for cafeterias and entertainment zone, it becomes a self-revenue generating medium for the railways. So that's another proposal which has come in. So yes, for cities like Mumbai, which have limited space, we need definite and very efficient urban planning and urban designing.
We are going to take a very small break. Be with us. Proper urban planning is required for a city like Mumbai.
Because when you increase FSI, you are, yes, increasing the space. Because many times what we see is that the buildings have been constructed too close, and there is no open area in between these buildings.
Welcome back to Expert Advice. We have with us Sapna Srivasatava, who's talking on urban design. Let's take this conversation further. You spoke about vertical expansion, and you said, that a proper urban planning is required for a city like Mumbai. And now the BMC has announced that, the FSI will be relaxed and there will be vertical development in the city. Now, what's your stance on that?
Increasing FSI has been welcomed by many, but it has its own critics as well.
Correct.
Because when you increase FSI, you are, yes, increasing the space, which means you have more space available. But again, as I said, vertical development has to be in a proper way. Because many times what we see is that the buildings have been constructed too close, and there is no open area in between these buildings.
Correct,
which means there is no sunlight happening, there is no proper air ventilation happening. So how these vertical towers are going to be planned, how they are going to be designed. Again, when we are talking about designing fire safety, we all know how we are lacking in that aspect. Yeah. So when we are talking about increased FSI, what are we doing about the fire safety norms? They have to be even more strong. They have to be even more planned for the safety of the residents or the people who are working in these vertical towers. And again, we also need to look at the load that it will create on the infrastructure, because our infrastructure remains the same, but we are increasing the number of people who are going to use that infrastructure. So that also has to be developed according to the number of people who are using that particular area, because actually we are increasing the density of that particular space. As I mentioned earlier, density is very important. If you have too many people living in a given square kilometer, you are actually your infrastructure is getting burdened, your sewage system, your water supply, your electrical. So your infrastructure has to develop accordingly. Exactly. So I hope BMC, before announcing that, has taken into consideration all these things. And then, of course, the structural stability of the island of Mumbai is very important.
Okay. So this was the current scenario in Mumbai. And now talking about the future plans, our PM has dreamt about, housing for all by 2022. Now, how urban design will, accomplish this dream?
Housing for all is definitely a very ambitious plan, I must say. And I'll say urban design is not the only solution, because there are a lot of stakeholders involved in that. There are a lot of plans and plannings and other integral things to it. Urban design can be and is a part of housing for all dream. It cannot be the only solution, but it can definitely help in that, because when we are saying urban planning and urban designing, we are actually saying save your space, you make best utilization of the space, and not only best utilization of the space, but make it more enjoyable, more quality space for the people who are living there. For example, I'll give you, in Mumbai, we know slums is one of the major challenges that we have. And what is happening right now is the approach is demolish the slums, move the people to vertical towers and apartment blocks. What experts suggest is don't do that. They say improve the slum infrastructure, the people who are living there, because if I tell you the slums, something like Dharavi, they are living organisms in themselves. Correct. There are a lot of small-scale industries which are happening there. A lot of economy is generated from there. People have, they have been living there for generations. They don't want to move from there, but they also don't want to live in bad living conditions. Correct. So rather than moving them out and putting them away in apartment blocks, revitalize these slum areas.
I think today's conversation was one such kind, that we would be appreciated for, the entire team at Expert Advice as well as you. I mean, it was very much informative. And we really thank you from our heart, for sharing such good piece of information with us.
Always a pleasure, Pooja.
And thanks again for coming on our show.
Thank you.
For more information on architecture, cities, as well as development and real estate as a whole, keep watching Spin TV. Goodbye. Take care.